My father taught me many things here. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
Hey, folks. Thanks for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. Grab yourself a seat on my big orange couch. Grab a coffee, tea, soda, and or adult libation. And sit back and relax. That intro was from Axion Ghost, and it'll be linked in the description. And that's Musso's Pizza. Paisans. Grab yourself a slice of life. And just enjoy today. Me and Kimi, we're going to talk about some things as we see them. And then we're also going to talk about, at the back end of the show, on he and I both are off-road kind of guys. Both of us like to drive. He has more of the mechanical knowledge, just like me and Snacky did on American vehicles. Me and Kimi are going to talk about European vehicles and what they do with them, although a couple of them that we'll talk about are Subaru, which are not European. They're, from Japan, but still, they have a lot of them. We can talk about the Toyota Hiluxes that Europe has no problem getting in, but they're a rarity in America. And they are the AK-47 of pickup trucks, and that's fact. And with that being said, hey, Kimmy, how's everything going, brother?
Thank you very much. It's going on really good, and yeah, I'm glad and honored to be back at Kaiser's Castle. Let's kick it off.
Sure. So, before we started talking about this show, we were talking about philosophies and the things that guide us and this, that, and the other during these times of 15 months of the ridiculous lockdowns, which we both have our opinions on. But let's just deep dive into some of the concerns that you had and the answers that we were both trying to find from each other, and I think we did find.
Yeah, it's difficult because there is an interesting point of me finding out the last 4 weeks of kind of I said a negativity wave, like be like people push forward their personal frustration and low energy into the internet, or wherever they can let go of some issues, and that bites a lot of people in the ass because it gets more and more, and the problem with that is people get really upset with it, and at the end of the day, it could affect a lot of people negative, and it does, so it's also like I saw that people always talked about hopium and hope porn and something like that, for like uh, um, over very optimistic people, and the whole crazy psyop operation. I don't want to name it. It came to the 17 letter, and they always like kind of esoteric and really happy and so on. And I have nothing against happiness and and that and so on, but you can't, like you can't always cover ugly things or ugly truths with happiness. Like it's not how it runs. But also, I think it runs the other way. If you um if you see only bad things all the time, it's really unhealthy. And if people pushing all the time um, these narratives and these things that are going on, I think we want we want to reach more people, or we want like get out of this bubble. It just stays in. So whatever you feed into this loop of a shit wave, you will yourself at the end of the day. Do you understand where I come from? So it's we are all on one boat. So we have to keep it kind of neutral. So that's what I found out, that it's at the moment it's over negative. So what's your opinion, brother?
All right, brother. I'm going to be very frank and simple with you. Here's how I look at it. Uh, to quote from The Crow, Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, he died making that movie. A lot of people forget this. And the interesting thing he said on that is he said it can't rain all the time. And that's something that, I like to develop what they call a positive mental attitude. I always call it by PMA. And even in the worst of times, shitty fucked times that I had to hack through just like I was in a jungle. Trust me, we've all gone through this in our youth. Um, I always knew it'll get better. It'll get worse, but it'll get better. Anybody who had two eyes could see. Anybody who had two ears could hear. But yet, you always had this little thing where people would pigeonhole you. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're this, that. Look, being right about a lot of things does not make one a seer. It doesn't make one anything other than sad. Because, even a blind squirrel is going to find a nut. The hypochondriac who has on his tombstone, told you I was sick. Well, yeah, he was right at the end, wasn't he? It's the whole thing with Marcus Aurelius going all the way back to the Stoics. We're all going to die. Mortality is a gift God gave us, and the ancestors who pumped life into us. They gave this to us. And life is precious, and it's fleeting. It will end. And the only thing you can do, smile about it, and try to be the best person you can be. And to my core, my stoicism has always held me in good stead. And it doesn't mean, everybody says stoicism is about internalizing everything. No, it's not. You have friends you value. You have people that you actually listen to and that you talk with. Mentoring and being mentored, being a mentee is valuable. I still have, thank God, knock wood, all my mentors are still alive. Believe it or not, it amazes me, and I'm happy for it. So I still can consult with them and bang off them my thought process. And as you stated, the propaganda the only way it works, and I think it's starting to be counter now because I'm seeing something. I believe I spoke briefly with you about this yesterday. And Russia, right after, you know, it was starting to fall down, or beginning to fall down when Gorbachev came in, even though he was trying everything with perestroika and the different things he was trying to do, communism was dying, and he knew it. And so did the KGB and GRU. That's why they started forming mafias. And that's why you see KGB and GRU presidents in all the old stands, all the old republics, except for a couple, and they're taking them back. But it's not communist anymore. As a matter of fact, they're ardent anti-communists. They're more capitalist, but they are neo-globalist. Globalist in a way to where they want a healthy Rodina, a healthy Mother Russia to guide them. It's basically the Russian Empire reinvented, the Tsarist Russia. While the West is flailing. And in the end, though, for everybody, here's what you can control yourself. You can control how you interact with people. If somebody comes at you with something, whatever, it's your reaction to it. And in the end, it's community. How is your community? How is your friendships? And as we were stating in our earlier conversation, the propaganda is meant to isolate, to make you feel alone, to make you feel like you're the only voice out there saying something. Trust me, for over almost 40 years now, yeah, going on 40 years, I've been saying this, and, you know, it's the information was out there. Everybody could have seen it. Everybody could have heard it. But you can be called a kook and be right. It's the old adage that I was taught by one of my mentors. You can always be right. And he was talking about interactions with, you know, people who are armed. But you can be dead right. You know, in the end, you're going to be found right, but you're still dead. It doesn't bring you back. And as long as you maintain that kind of life where you accept your mortality, that is, I think, the key to understanding this life. And your thoughts on that, brother? Because I just brought up something that I don't think I really brought up when we were conversating.
Yeah, mortality is something that we yeah, it's a big topic. Also, it could you know, like it could lead into many people overthinking it, you know, especially in times like this, you know, especially with all the hype in the last 15 months with fear, you know, like that you portray your life as you know, as so much that it has so much value, you know. Sometimes it ends, and it's really like it's really healthy if you can kind of accept that, you know, like and live in the moment and right now, right here, you know. So and that goes along with the thought I had before, and with the thing I'm missing in this kind of conversation and communities we are engaging is the positivity also, you know, like not only the negative aspects, you know, like we talking about, we know this shit since we know this shit since many years, you know. It's not something new. It's just right now many things are it's going to manifest, you know, right into existence. But the bigger the bigger issue is is how to handle the situation, how to handle your mind, because most of us, or many of us, they will not die, and they will not die by far. I mean, yeah. The point is to be prepared and to sustain life as a positive thing. Is, I think that's the difficulty right now in this splitted and crazy society we have. Um, we have to find solution to stay in contact with each other and be nice with each other, and pull each other up. I honestly mean that. Like, even if it's we have, like, from one continent to the another. It doesn't matter. Like, we honestly have to also implement positive things into this community, and into these conversations, and into these topics, because the other parts, the MSM of this world, and the global players and whatnot, I don't want to say any names. They are not interested into giving us any positivity. That's a key element in life. So we have to sustain ourselves at the moment with this situation, and with the month that will come, but stay refreshed and motivated, and yeah, one time I'm down, then the next day Kaiser's down, like, and then he says something nice to me, and so on and so on, and this is how you pull yourself up from a shit situation, because we are all basically actually most people are all decent persons and people, and want to have a nice life, and yeah, we should really work on that. That's what came up in my mind just like half an hour ago, when me and Kaiser talked, and we talked about total other topic, but I figured out that this is a really important one, and I think we should talk more often about these kind of things.
I agree wholeheartedly, Kimmy. One of the things, like, I look at it like this. I have a picture, you'll see it in the slideshow later, Kimmy, of a guy on a bench. Seems to be late at night, street light lit. He's just bent over. Can't remember where I found this picture, but I thought it was very emblematic. You could think about this as the guy's waiting on the late night bus, whatevs, or he's down and out, or whatever. Who knows what his situation is? Who really cares? But it's his situation. And in the end, he's going to have to deal with it. Now, will he deal with it by himself? Does he have a support network, i.e. friends, family, blah, blah, blah? Here's the better point to this. Think about masking. This, and I've said this ad infinitum, I'll say it again on Thursday's show at 9 o'clock p.m. EST on PSN Network, because my time did change. I'm now on Thursdays at 9 o'clock. Hopefully I can get Kimmy on sometime, and we can get him out there for people to hear, because I think his voice is very valuable. He's European and a Christian, and this is something that masking, this kind of thing, everything you're seeing right now, in my opinion, European-wise, whether you are strictly somebody who believes in the ancestors, i.e. somebody who, is from a Nordic religion or Christianity, Christ religion, I do not think it changes the belief structure, okay? Because I believe Christ died for our sins, and I also understand that without the ancestors, I would not be here. So I don't find conflict in those. One will say pagan, the other one will say Christian. Nah, I just don't find conflict. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. But the greater point is masking. That dehumanizes people. I.e., everybody now feels like that man on that bench. But the problem is they don't reach out and talk. Do you think Marcus Aurelius, even though he was known as the most just emperor of Rome, and he had to deal with the Antonine plague, even though that happened during his time, he would still go out and be a man among the people. He would actually get out there and talk to them, listen to them. He didn't think, even though he was emperor, he did not put himself above it. And with the tenets of Stoicism, he was able to be a just emperor. And I'm not saying I'm an emperor, don't get that shit twisted. I'm just saying Stoicism only has 4 tenets to it, and they're super easy to follow. You guys can look them up. But it comes from understanding that we're mammals, we're pack animals, we're supposed to be in group. That's normally the way pack animals run. But we become more accustomed to having our societies, which is larger groups. And then the internet made the world a group. Well, before the internet, I was traveling internationally with the military. And I actually met people. So my group was a little more expanded than others. But it doesn't change the fact that I still had my groups. And these are things that you build bonds with people, especially during wartime. And a lot of people don't understand that these bonds are unshakable. And a betrayal is ostracization for any of us. Because trust me, it's a small group. Everybody will know if I fucked over people. And or if I'm an asshole, if I've turned into a dickhead, or I'm a paranoid delusional motherfucker or whatever. This will happen. And what you need to know is you're not alone, but the masking. That was a shit test for America and the West. Can we get these people to dehumanize themselves? And whenever I see people walking around with their kids with a mask on their kid's face, trust the science is what American Democrats say. Trust the science. Fauci's been wrong about everything he said. Now he wants to keep everybody masked. Maybe until 2022, 2023. He doesn't really know. Folks, you're now dealing with somebody that's trying to reset everything. And it's being done by the merger of corporation and the government. And what's the title of that? What's the classical title? It's fascism, except this has a nice little Stasi Maoist bent. Because remember, Mao relied on people to denounce other people and to humiliate them and to ostracize them. See how this works? Everybody who didn't understand what I meant by Maoism, Stalin didn't do it. He just let the Chekists, whenever they found somebody that was counter-revolutionary, they'd kill them. But nah, China had better ways of doing it. They'd ostracize them first, take everything from them, and eventually get around to killing them. See, this is the way, and 90% of the time he wouldn't have to. The crowds would do it for him. See how this works? The Long March. Stasi would have loved having the tools that the NSA and the U.S. government have. You think about that with the Five Eyes in Europe. Australia, Canada, all those 5 countries. You guys think about it. This is global. And you have, unfortunately, a gentleman I can't even be angry with, because to be angry with somebody who doesn't have control of their full mental faculties is to be an abusive person. So I can't be angry with the guy that they supposedly selected, but I can be angry with those that are mistreating that man, just like the parents who mask their children. I think there's a special place in hell for both of those people. And I hope they burn in the flames of it for taking advantage of. I was told by a woman who was taking care, this is years back, of her mother who was going through Alzheimer's or whatever it was back in the day. This is when I was a single dude. And she said she realized that her mother went through a second childhood as an old woman. And you think about that. It's a restoration of innocence before you're going to pass if you've lived that long. So, your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, you said a lot. So no, it's yeah, yeah. The whole thing is, yeah. Right now, it's we're going to keep and push people into a direction that they are no longer human anymore, and we behave like that in the internet. We behave like that generally. We are. I feel like when I say we are, of course I don't mean anyone, everyone. I mean myself. Someone could understand something wrong that you meant actually good, and this is how this whole negativity wave is rolling on, also with all kind of fronts, you know, with the point that people like us go into stores and see, like Kaiser just said, like women that put masks on children, and we are getting angry at them, you know. They are angry at us because we don't wear any, or afraid. It you know, it's you know that it's a split within a split within a split, you know. It's like the segregation is like very intense and high right now, you know, in such small and different groups. I can just say something about lately, that what happened to me in a Telegram group that's that's a messenger. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. It's quite big right now, and you have like kind of groups, like I don't know, like in WhatsApp you created a group, but it's it's a larger scale, and it's open for debate. And I found out that many run different kind of worldviews, you know, like all kinds of things, you know, like um, you know, crazy things you think that matches your belief, or even points that you absolutely can't agree, but they all have something in common. That is, when you go in there and disagree with what they have to say, you will find yourself very, very fast out of this group and completely cancelled and blocked. But these are the same people. These are the same people that are, you know, like that they bring up all the time. The whole cancel culture. You know, like, yeah, you can't block this person. You can't act like that. You know, like people who complain all the time about YouTube blocking people, about I don't know, like big companies um, ruling out people, you know, like, and they doing the same thing with much less of a community and less power, but they do the same just because you didn't agree, you know. And the community, Kaiser and me are sharing is a community of agree to disagree, you know, like we can't put our ideology or someone else's in front of us and say like this is the right way, you know, if you don't have like this and this and this in mark, you know, point 1, 2, 3 and 4 into mark, you're out, you know. We can't handle like that. We always have to see everyone's perspective about the whole, their world view, you know, how they think about a situation or a political topic, or you know, if you start selecting and electing people, it's going to get like ugly, and it plays into the hand of people that want that, you know. So we have definitely to implement more a kind of openness and a more a kind of a better climate of debate, you know, generally, and also if you disagree, like especially if we totally disagree with someone else, you know, like it that's a key point to find the solution, you know. And yeah, uh, I think that's a high goal, but if we could do it like in smaller scales, and especially in our groups, in our bubbles, you know, where we call ourselves I don't know, you know, all these labels, you know, I don't have to tell you what kind of labels I'm talking about, you know, all different kind of labels. If we are sticking to these values and also implement kind of a forgiving mentality, you know, and be open and be friendly and so on, and also really invest into positivity, then I think we can get further ahead, you know, like with the time. But right now it's a kind of messy situation. So I hope everyone's going to I mean, try their best and try to change the strategy, because like I think Einstein said it is like, it's if you always try the same solution, you know, it's like a definition of craziness, you know, like. So it's very important that you change your behavior and strategies, and sometimes you have a bad day, sometimes you have a good day, and try to be nice with someone that you don't like or something like that at a bad day of you. That could make a whole big difference. So yeah, that's how I see the situation right now. And yeah, what's your take, Kaiser? Is it did I address what you kind of meant
Yep.
in a other way, or how do you see it?
Yeah, Austin Odin. Yes, all of it is in order, brother. My point is that, look, propaganda's out there, weeding through, and I hate to say this. I brought it up. I just snipped on it for a second. Dog walking hours under Gorbachev. A lot of people don't really understand what that meant. That meant the people realized that Pravda and other, media outlets in the Soviet Union at that time were lying, that the Soviet Union was failing. And I think we have the same thing happening here. I'm going to be very frank and honest. And I think a lot of it has to do with they got rid of honest talk with everybody always blames Clinton for political correctness, okay? But no, it was, and I've said it on many of my shows, it was George Herbert Walker Bush. It was the first time in the 1,000 Points of Light speech we need a kinder, gentler, more politically correct society. And then Clinton took it and put it on steroids. Obama exacerbated race baiting. Look, the most healthy thing I've ever heard, and folks, please, this is not, I'm not making no money on this, but you can find a lot of videos on YouTube with Opie and Anthony, Patrice O'Neal, Bill Burr, all kinds of comedians. And they used every word that, oh, you got to say this, you got to say that. No. They flat out said the words. And that was a healthy discussion. And it was in humor. Anybody think the Elon Musk Saturday Night Live appearance was good? That was good comedy? I don't think so. They were out to make an ass out of him. And, it's not just along socioeconomic lines. It's about race division. Okay, why can't... Let me see. What would happen if a Nazi Jew and a black man and a white man and an Italian and a Polak or a Polish person and all these people got together in a bar one night and were drinking, and a communist? They'd probably have a good conversation. And it would probably be funny as hell. Because I've laughed at black jokes, I've laughed at white jokes, I've laughed at Polish jokes, I've laughed at German jokes, I've laughed at them all. Italian jokes, trust me, I'm half Italian and I'm half Dago, half Kraut, baby. I'm a wop. What sound does a flat tire make? Wop, 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 paisans. So let me tell you something. That's where truth lives, is where the human psyche actually meets another human psyche, and you become friends. In the 80s, it was sussed. Anybody disbelieve? Think about it. In the 50s, there were problems. There's been problems forever. But it's gotten better. I think the 80s was the pinnacle of it getting better. And it was only under Bush Sr. it started to go worse. And it was political correctness, which now we know is critical theory. And it was instituted, everybody knows this, so I'm not speaking out of school. It started with the Frankfurt School. And what were they? Ardent communists. And what was Khrushchev's thing when he slammed his shoe, took his shoe off, and slammed it on his desk and said, "We will bury you without firing a shot," because he knew the seeds of destruction had already been sent to the United States. And the more immoral we got, the less community we maintained, the more we could destroy our laws and our Constitution through judicial edict, the faster it would come. And it went on steroids under Obama. I've never seen it go that fast and that's why I can't be upset with the selected one. We got a little bit of pushback where it was going correct, but 4 years wasn't enough, especially when that person was embattled the entire time. He didn't have a moment's rest from the media because they were lockstep on board with getting rid of it and pushing the agenda that now you are seeing manifest. And that's why everybody says, oh, 100 days, why is this, why is this, why is this? Look, there's an old Arab saying, and if I speak Arabic, and that Arabic saying Direct translation: everybody will target the weak horse. I.e., if you have a strong horse in the race, they'll bet on him, but they're going to more bet on the under, on the weak horse coming in last. You know, it's sort of like how the stock market works, same kind of deal. You're gambling. You know, you can say this horse will come in last or this horse will come in first. Well, the one that will come in last might pay more. Because if it's a strong horse, you know he's going to win. If it's a weak horse, you know it's going to lose. And the muff fake misdirection that the media is doing about Russia again. Why? Why are they doing that? Oh, it's because they want to distract you from the true problem. Probably going to have problems with China. And the hack of the East Coast gas supply, which you guys get ready for everybody to get their gas prices raised. They're having a problem starting that pipeline up. It's going to go up. You thought it was bad in the first 100 days. We'll be seeing $10 a gallon before the end of this poor man who was selected, his tenure. And we're going to have problems. And defunding the police is retarded. It's idiotic. It's wrong-headed. But it's propaganda. And if it bleeds, it leads. And the sooner you wake up to that fact and realize the media is doing this for ratings and whatnot, they're still bringing up Orange Man bad. Wait, he's not in office. His policies aren't doing anything. Everything is owned. And I would love to say it's owned by JB, by Joey Boy. Nah, it's the holdovers from the Obama administration. The same policies being pushed, the same people who were communist and getting away with subverting the country under two flags, Antifa and BLM. It's going to continue, and normal people, when they strike back, will be prosecuted. This is the way of the world. Just get used to it for however long it's going to be. And it may be a long time. What do I think we'll ever see an honest election again? Probably not. And that's okay. The West might be saved by the East, because the only ones who have been resistant to critical theory are Eastern Europe. And there's a reason for that. And now that makes me wonder, and it should make you wonder. Notice how I'm bringing this around. It's called a callback in comedy, but this isn't comedy. Notice how we're vilifying the East. That might be for a reason. Maybe they want to start a war there, because they're not quite going along with this great reset of everybody having a world currency. Look, this world currency thing is just like, it's the same thing that was spoken about in Revelations. If you're a Christian, same kind of thing. And then it was also spoken about in Ragnarok, the tale of Ragnarok, and what happens during that time, which is the same thing as the apocalypse or whatever. So you have to understand that the knowledge has been passed down, but do you have eyes to see and ears to hear? And that's the greater question. Your thoughts on that, Kimmy?
Wow. Yeah. I believe we're in a very, I mean, like, no questions, we are in a very interesting time period, and there's a lot of extreme changes are going on right now. And yeah, many people are aware of the situation, but many are not. They are so in their personal issues, involved, that they have no seeing in even if it's that crazy. They will just go along with what is to come, and about Eastern Europe is going to save. I can't tell. Not 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 100%. It could be, like, because it's too the main specific problem for this kind of dystopian agendas that goes on right now is the point that you have like people that have values, like a value family, or have like traditions, this is how where you can see that in people getting like policies are like that it's forbidden to wear like flags and so on, and everything is going to get like dismissed as racist, or kind of in this kind of it will get labeled as anything, like just as a like this flag has some red parts on it, so it must has been the same roots as Nazism or like communism or something like that. And that's like for me, the society has the conspiracy theories, not the minority of people that say this crazy things that right now that are going on are the is alien to us. No, it's definitely no, it's definitely the majority of all those people who proclaim, and the mass medias that see everywhere a problem, everywhere is a issue, everywhere is a hidden racist under any desk or something like that. We have like comedians here in Europe. They we are so diverse here, like, because like almost every country has their own language and their own culture. And back in the day, like before the 2000s, everyone had their own like their own currency, and you always have to switch your currency. When you go to Italy, you have to get the lira, or you go to Germany and then you have to get another I can't remember the name of what they had, like mark. They had mark. And then you go to Switzerland, and in Switzerland you have the franc, and that good Switzerland that doesn't it's not in the European Union, still has the franc. But doesn't matter, like you have everywhere, you have these different cultures and different styles of food and so on. And people who were going to live in their neighbor countries, often made jokes about their own heritage, or they made jokes about where they're living right now, and the people there made also jokes about their neighbors, like it's like I want to compare it. To make jokes about people is always something that you then you're going to get connected with each other. So you're starting to be on the same level, right? You're starting to feel each other, and feeling good about having a society and connecting with each other. A laugh is something that is amazing. There's so much things going on in your brain when you do that. But the main topic is not that. The main topic is when you do that, you're going to see you and your friend aren't that different. Everyone has their favorite kind of food or favorite kind of thing and so on, and you laugh about it, and at the end of the day you come closer to each other, and that was regular and normal here, like we had these groups, and it was fun, like, and in a rare case you find someone that is really like super racist in their ideology, like that's the thing I said before, like in this um, podcast, that we are uh, in this situation where everyone is segregated and sees everyone else as a threat, and it's not like that. It's
And they
either you
and they take offense.
sorry, yeah. So
They
go along.
no, they take offense to
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But honestly, in my personal life, I've not run across that. Um, it's probably because I live in a smaller community. I've not run across that. I had one person one time say something about a mask, and COPD, eat a dick, Americans with Disabilities Act trumps anything that Trump did or put in Fauci, and the same thing with Fauci and the poor man that was selected to be Trump's follow-on, 46. Whatever they say is trumped by that. So screw them. And that woman happened to be general manager of the store that I frequent every day to buy food. And when she acted the way she acted, I reported her. And I got given her store credit because of her actions. And she got rebuked. And guess who says hi to me every time I come in? I've not worn a mask at all. And the same with the governor of the state of Ohio. That order did not affect me at all. Now, did I get the shot? Yes. I've got even my shot record on it, right? The Johnson shot. And this is when it's killing everybody. We got to get it off the shelves. Well, no. They found out that exacerbates two things. Women who have menopause. The other thing that they found is that, and it's the same thing that happened back in the 50s, and I know this because of the 60s, really. My mom's boyfriend, the reason why he was single was his wife died. She was taking birth control, and, there was a medicine or a vaccine back then that caused women to bleed out intestinally, and they found out that everybody being affected by the Johnson shot was from that. And so it's just fear-mongering. It's everybody's offended by everything. It's ridiculousness and the silliness, and honestly, the participation trophies that we give out to the youth. So I blame my generation more than I can any of the boomers. And I'm a Gen Xer. And it's because, now I was never that guy. I wasn't the guy that said, yeah, my son needs a participation trophy. No, he won or lost. But those that did caused this. When everybody's special, no one's special. It's the same thing when everybody's a racist, no one's a racist. That's a problem. And when you do this, you change cultural and generational dynamics. And now we're reaping the fruit of what we allowed to happen. And the best thing we can do is take control of our school boards, take control of our local governments, i.e. we get active in them. And when I say active, I mean we go in there and voice our opinions. And we got to forget about national. I still vote national elections, but local is the only place you're going to make a difference. Your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. Even it's not even. I mean, like local, definitely, and also like this also is like with local foods. Buying local foods helps your community, helps your environment. Helps you at the end. all things that are regional based is good, like try to do that, definitely. That's a whole other topic, but I would definitely, I mean, we can talk about that um, in the future or or today. I don't care, but that's really something we have to deep dive on that again, because like there were many um, good things that were an easy solution back in the day, like especially I can name you something. If you have a car, like you live in the center of the United States and you have a car, you definitely get easy, and you have yeah, you have a Ford or whatever, like, and you want to have an exhaust or something like that. It was pretty cheap for you to get it, and probably also there were like a lot of things for you in your regional market, because first of all it's in your country, and then many things stayed there, where it was produced. So you benefit a lot of it. It's much better than like right now, having some cars or some parts that are so expensive to ship from A to B, or mostly they ship it from A to C, and then to B, right? That's how it goes right now, it's totally madness. So I would definitely, if people hear this message and this podcast, um, yeah, go along, go regional in every direction, near you, since if it's in cars or in food and so on, like buy seasonal, and like try to find out like efficient things. We have to get a bit back into how life was, like I mostly grow up in the 90s, so I would say it's uh I think it was like a border time, the 90s, and some things just um were implemented like years before the 90s that um, stayed till then, and they were pretty good, um, I don't know, like, some things that worked good in your region, like I don't have anything I could say right now. It's, like we had milk deliverance, like it worked out. The guy always came by your door, like for like 120 years or something like that, and one day after another he's vanished, everything, like. Or I can tell you something else, like police station. We don't have, we had police station in every town, and now since 20 years they reduced almost 70% of all police stations. So you have to drive to any location and find there a police station, or hospitals. I could go on forever, basically, with things that were good, that were there when you needed them and functioned well, that were traditional and like efficient and logic, that went away. So, and yeah, I hope we can make a turn, and just um I found this I found this idea to be, like a global regional, a good idea, like being still connected with each other and so in communication wise, but still like everyone keeps culture and their heritage and their diversity, you know, like that's the same thing that the left is talking about, but I'm putting it in a normal light, in a good light. You know, when I go to the US, I want to feel the US life. If I go to Europe, I want to see in an Italian lifestyle, or when I go to Japan, I want to have this Japanese lifestyle. You know, like yeah, it's great, but so we have to keep our stuff, you know, as well. You know, you can't give up on that. You know, just to be diverse. Yeah. So
I agree by saying, you know, we need more diversity through perversity. It doesn't wash. But yeah, no, you brought up cars. Let's sink into that. We will do a show hopefully on my evening program on PSN. Uh, Hopefully this Thursday if you can swing it. It's at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard, and in the U.S. And hopefully, if you want to, we can do that. And with that being said, this is a, there's going to be several cars. They're not direct copies of Kimi's car when his is done, but these are kind of some of the things he's doing to his vehicle. And it does help being self-sufficient within your community, being able to help other people too. If you're trying to overcome Ragnarok, these are some ideas in Europe that and in America that you can use. And the first one is a picture of, now when you see the picture, you'll notice that it has a roof rack, it has a snorkel, it also has snorkels for the breather, for the carburetor to get air. And then in the back you have a raised, notice how you have that little pipe in the back, and that's raised, and that's so you can take this vehicle into water. And also notice in Europe they have more aggressive tires for smaller cars, which are harder to find in the US, which is shocking to me. If you want to get a REL, i.e. A Volkswagen Beetle, or you know whatever they dune buggy variant you want to get of it, or a thing, the tires basically look like the old Jeep tires, the 151 Jeeps. So the M151s. So they're a decent tire, but they're not as mud dogging as these tires, and definitely not as good looking. But it's the black vehicle that's got the big swoosh emblem on it. If you want to talk to people about this vehicle and your vehicle and whatnot, and different mods you can do, that'd be great, brother. Since I had Snacky on and we talked about American stuff, might as well talk about some European things that hopefully will help my friends in Europe and my friends in America.
So the basic recommendation from me is I'm going to announce that you're going to or it's good to get like a Subaru car, because Subarus were built to sustain, you know, not much luxury on it, and the parts are very cheap, and like I said, the sustainability of the car is really good, and all the parts you could buy or get for them, you know, like you can put them almost on every model, you know. It doesn't, it almost like it's almost on all of the cars, you know, from every time period. You can adapt the parts, you know. It's really easy, you know. So that's one benefit, and another one is there is so much here in Central Europe is so much of these cars here, you know, and parts that for what you pay for, you know, and yeah. What will cost you something is the modification. Obviously, the car itself is not that expensive, but the modification, of course, will cost you something. And about that specific model we're just talked about, this one is from the US, but doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, like, of course, the snorkel is a great addition when you go into deeper mud and or snow situations, where you need air, you know, for that your engine is not going to blow up or gets water in it. So that's always a recommendation you should like do if you build a sustainable car that will run in summer and winter through any condition. Of course, a plate, you know, under the engine that prevents any hitting with rocks and you know, or wood or trees or whatever. So also something you can definitely get or should get. Of course, lightnings on the roof, extra lights, so you, or in the front of the car, so you can see better in like really dark conditions. And to power these lights and to power the car, it's absolutely necessary that you get like a super great strong battery. It's expensive to get a stronger battery, but if you put a stronger battery in, it will, you know, like it can get very, very cold, you know, and you still can always like turn on the car and have or yeah, I don't know what you do with the battery, or load up your computers and whatnot and all the time, you know. So we also checked. I sent the picture to Kaiser about some ideas and plans of mine, adding a solar panel to a roof rack on the car to completely power the battery always, you know, because the battery has enough energy, but with the solar panels you can also like do other things, you know, like having some you can cook with that. You have spare energy where you can use very well, you know. And yeah, it's easy to do, and it's very cheap, you know. Right now the solar panels doesn't cost much, and you get them almost anywhere, you know. And if you can do that, grab any roof rack would do, you know. There's tons of them at eBay or somewhere else, and you can also all buy these parts and just adapt it on your car, on your specific car, and make a viable system with this, you know. So that's just the key elements I would implement. Obviously, I forgot the tires that are almost the most important part. That you got like steel wheels and good and big tires, so you can go into any condition. By the way, I can mention that if you have the bigger battery and you have the solar roof, you can also like put some air regulation system into your car, so you can adapt it for every situation all the time, because you can always do that. So yeah. So what do you think, guys, are about the things we could add or should add easily here and could do as a first starter, or getting into sustainability, or our overlanding vehicle in Europe?
Well, I think it's proof of fact. I mean, when you talked about those things that you can add to a vehicle, it changes. I think for most people, it will change their perception that a car, even like a Subaru, can be used for multi-terrain. Uh, it can be a mudder. It can be a forge. It can ford across a creek or a low river. Um, you're going to get wet. If you're going to ford across it, you take some pre-planning time to weatherproof your spare clothes, because once you're on the other side of the bank, if it's winter, you're going to have to change them. You're going to be wet and cold. Of course, wear wool. Wool will actually retain heat, even if it's wet, and be quick about stripping off your clothes and putting on dry boots and whatnot. And if you have to suffer through it because you only have one pair of boots, take your damn boots off. This is coming from somebody that actually did ford on a quote-unquote, it was a operation, not an invasion, but it was an operation of a fake country, how the military does. And I had to drive a Hummer off of a Higgins boat that was a little too far out because it hit a reef, which it shouldn't have hit, but for some reason the Higgins boat driver hit the reef, and instantly the Humvee was water over our heads, and it had an air pocket for a second, and my A driver, who was more experienced at this, said, "Floor it!" And I floored it, and for a second it didn't go anywhere, and then it took off, and we made it out. But man, we were soaked when we got out of it, and if I'd have known all that stuff, I would have. Well, I did have dry clothes because I kept my shit in bags and different things. The way they teach you, weatherproof bags in the Marine Corps. My backpacks and his were floating actually as the water came down, and they ended up not where we put them in the Humvee. So that was kind of funny. I think we might have even gotten hit by one of the bags too, floating with us as we were driving in. But it's a minor thing. It was just something funny to look back on, if memory serves. But yeah, it's a funny thing, and so I mean, you'll find adventure where you want to find it, and definitely a snorkel is valuable in the winter. Let's say you're busting through roads that haven't quite been plowed yet, and you live out west where the snow gets deep. If it's just a small little thing, yeah, you're gonna have a whiteout condition for a minute. You might even be left of center, but once you punch through it, guess what? Your car's not bogged down. You didn't high center. It was just a drift. And now you're on the other side of it, and your air filter's not clogged up on your intake, and neither is your exhaust. And that's a valuable thing, especially if you do get kind of stuck and you have to do the forward back thing in the winter in snow. That'd be a very valuable thing. And it also will reduce the chances of you being asphyxiated by having, CO2 gas from coming back in to you through the induction if your windows are all rolled up because you're cold instead of having it vented. A lot of people die every year from having their windows all the way rolled up, and yet there's obstruction that doesn't quite shut off the engine, but it doesn't allow proper airflow out of the exhaust, and the exhaust isn't heated up enough. at the far end of the pipe, and it becomes like iced. And so you're going to get some of that CO2 gas in, and it'll kill you. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. You have to be careful, like, yeah, definitely. Like, the safety measures are always like the ones that you have to address first, like always with everything. So make sure that won't happen to you or to your car, and if it does, like don't run the car, anymore. You have to be aware, and yeah, get the knowledge, like read books. There's so much YouTube about overlanding, about adapting vehicles, and if get to know the key points, like you never can learn enough, and you don't have to be a mechanic to be knowledgeable at these topics. Sometimes you just have to know and benefit from people that came before you and had better ideas and solutions and issues that you can learn from, and then adapt it to your situation. But I would definitely recommend at least one vehicle that you have at home that is kind of prepared for this kind of situation. So you can always, like it says, you can go overland. You're right. You can drive everywhere you want, basically. Even if the road is shit or there is no road at all. So yeah, and yeah, that's my points on that topic.
I find no problem with any of your points. What I do like about that roof with the sun collection devices, the solar devices, I do like that they have a propane tank, and yeah, of course it's for cooking, or if you have a mystery heater to keep warm with or whatever, right? I get that. I like how, although I wouldn't store it on the roof, just like with the gas container, they have those little bend up things that go on the back. I think any kind of petroleum or potentially fire gas, like propane, anything that is flame producing, first off, have a fire extinguisher nearby where it's at. But those little fold up grates that hang out of your tow bumper, those are great. And you could put 5-gallon jugs of fuel on them, jerry cans. Just make sure Napa's still the only place, National Auto Parts Association is still the only place you can find the adapters that will make it go into the unleaded fuel system without leaking. So I would suggest that. Otherwise, you're going to be using a different donkey dick that doesn't fit. The military ones are too big. So just FYI. And also watch the rubber gaskets that they don't, break apart and get frail. But the added thing with propane, a lot of people don't know this. There was a guy, and it's on Survival Blog. James Rawls has something called Survival Guide, it was called Survival Guide. And on his blog, Survival Guide blog, a guy tells a story about he's not getting gas through his gas line. Its fuel line freeze up. It's in the winter, and he had been going up a mountain or something weird had happened. I can't remember exactly the situation. You have to read about it. But he happened to have a propane tank. So his buddy and him, they figured it out as they went. They had a length of plastic tubing. They had an adapter. They were able to fit it to it. They got the engine going with propane gas that they took the tube, the gas cylinder. Of course, the guy was saying the damn thing's ice cold because it would be, because of the way they were doing it. He didn't have an appropriate type of device to meter it out, okay? So what he did was connected it to the um, um, carburetor, and would slowly pipe in the gas, and they would, of course it would stall out or whatever, but eventually they got a rhythm to it and realized how much to keep the gas going and to get more speed and everything without flooding it. And they actually finished going up the hill, down the hill, and then they were able to pull in for the night. The fuel line freeze up, stopped, the next morning, and they made the rest of the way to where they were going. I think it was in the Colorado mountains, if memory serves. So that's something to think about. That's why I liked seeing that roof rack with that propane tank, because that's multi-use. And anytime you can get some multi-use out of something, 2 is 1, 1 is none. That's my philosophy on anything survival. If you have 1, as soon as you lose it, you have nothing. And you will lose it, trust me. If you have 2, you lose it, you'll have the other. And it's just common sense. And basically it all breaks down to common sense. And honestly, Kimmy, I'm glad we started this conversation, and we're going to finish more of this too. I think we went into, and I'm glad we did. I'm glad we did. A way to keep a positive mental attitude when times are bad. Because here's the thing, and I've witnessed it in my lifetime. Hard times produce hard men. And soft times produce soft men, unless those hard men aren't around. Luckily, there were hard men around when I was around. And I learned from them, and my son learned from me and other hard men, because, luckily that's the circle I swim in. And has met my mentors and also met my mentees. And I've tried to imbue the same stuff I gave to my son, and shit, I'm happy with the results I got with my son. He's fair, hard. Here's the thing that people, this is why I don't like the term liberal and conservative. First, conservative, what have conservatives conserved? Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. And it's because they became neocons. And liberals, a classical liberal is a Jeffersonian liberal. And that's, I may disagree with what you say, but I'll fight to my death for your right to say it. And literally, I've bought that ticket, took that ride, and written that check. Up to and including my ass. And that's more my philosophical belief. And true conservatives and true liberals, there's not a whole lot of difference between them except for societal bullshit. Now, what we have is neo-progressives. And so the neocons and the neo-progressives are the ones that are tight together. So don't be surprised when you see people like Liz Cheney, when you see Mitt Romney loving on, the quote-unquote woke leftist in the Congress and the Senate. You just don't be surprised. It's a false dichotomy. It's something that the media feeds. And the media loves both of them because they both want one thing: perpetual war. This is something I know me and Kimi are ardently against. I may make my living in war. It doesn't mean I like war. I find it abhorrent. I've seen it. I know what it looks like. And I think it's disgusting. But I actually know how, for some reason, to work in it. But it doesn't make me special. There's a lot of people like me that do this. But I will say I'm conservative, more conservative on social issues, and more liberal on fiscal issues. And on social issues, I'm a little more liberal. classically liberal. So that's, if you want to start pointing a finger and saying what I am, there you go. You have the schematic. Your thoughts, brother?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Like for me, I started as I thought I'm, um, the liberal thing in the U.S. is a total has a total other meaning than in Europe. Being liberal. In Europe, it's more like being a centrist. Uh, it's like to have less of a state. And I'm 100% for that. I want to have a small state as possible, and as much responsibility for my actions and for myself, as I
Indeed.
can, so that's the key point, like keep it simple, like agree on like on various big topics, but keep it at that level, and of course, I'm not a fan of taxes or high taxes, and
Me
and
either.
and and what's to come in the future, right? With the CO2 emission taxes that are starting to overregulate, like car driving here in Europe. They want to like to forbid car driving at all cities and so on, crazy stuff, and everything that is meant to say to you that you can't do something. I'm against that, because you should do that. You could, you need to do that, and you have like logical rules and ethic and morals that some of that things aren't possible, or if you do it, you meet your destiny, or your maker, or how you call it, so yeah. So I would say I'm a European liberal. If you don't know it, just Google it up and look what a central person that is in the middle here of all is, and yeah, all is good.
Sounds good, brother. And with that being said, do you have any things, shows, or anything you want to pump up or anything? Of course, we both are boiler roomers, and we love the boiler room. We love long walks through it, and we've been complacent. Well, I have, and haven't been over there for a while, but it's just been hectic for me the past couple months. But it is what it is. I mean, anything you want to push out, brother, please do it.
I would be happy to keep the conversation going in the future, and maybe invite other people as well to hear their opinion, and how they portrayed, like the truth for conspiracy scene, or whatever, like the other part of the coin, or other side of the coin, and see their perspective, see what do they feel the same, do they see the negativity as well, do they like find some um, other key points that I forgot to mention, or to see, and figure out how we can all support each other.
With that being said, brother, a big hat tip to you. Thanks for coming on. And I agree with you. I think we do need that. Like I said, we wanted to do this with a three-way, me, you, and Snacky, and hopefully we can get hold of Snacky sometime and actually have a beautiful conversation on this topic, because between you two, I'm sure you guys could come up with the ultimate vehicle for, overcoming Ragnarok. And that's just what I'll say. And with that being said, folks, thank you all for sitting on my big orange couch. I will pop up the big orange couch again because there's so many of you now. I had to invest in a new one. So there it is. So that's the big orange couch you're sitting on. Some of you are on the turret. Some of you are sitting on the side plates of it. And some of you are just chilling on the barrel. And that's the type of couch it is, brother and sisters. So with that being said, I will slowly raise the drawbridge as you meander on out of Kaiser's Castle with your coffee, tea, soda, and or adult libation. And I hope you have enjoyed this installment of Kaiser's Castle with my brother Kimi. And with that being said, 2 words, Shuff out.